Hello, welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times, channels 276. And now the news in details. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has brokered a late-night truce with Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, bringing an end to the strike that paralyzed parts of Abuja. The development is paving the way for workers to return immediately. The agreement was reached after over 3 hours of negotiation chaired by the Senate Committee on the FCT. The Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation has announced the commencement of the accreditation exercise for the selection of 5 new Federal Permanent Secretaries, according to a statement released by the Director of Press at the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Eno Olutu. The exercise followed the approval of President Bola Tinubu. He said that the process is designed to fill existing and impending vacancies for candidates from Adamawa, Bayelsa, Enugu, Kano, and Ogun states. Former National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC and former Governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has congratulated the Executive Governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, and his Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barau Jibrin, on their respective honors at the 2025 Sun Newspaper Awards. In a statement, Dr. Ganduje described Governor Yusuf's recognition as the Sun Newspaper Governor of the year 2025 as well-deserved, noting that it reflects his commitment to good governance, courageous leadership, and people-centered policy aimed at improving the welfare of Kano residents. He said the award underscores the growing national recognition of Kano State's strides in governance and development. Dr. Ganduje also congratulated Senator Barau Jibrin on receiving the Sun Newspaper's Humanitarian Award 2025, describing the hours as a fitting acknowledgement of his compassion for the less privileged and his dedication to uplifting lives through impactful humanitarian interventions and self-service to humanity. He commended the Sun Newspaper for sustaining its tradition of celebrating excellence, leadership, and service to society, while wishing both award recipients continued success in their respective roles and greater contributions to the development of Kano State and the nation at large. President Bola Tinubu says no nation can thrive without deliberate investment in its youth. Speaking at the 34th convocation and 43rd Founders Day of the Federal University of Technology in Minna, Niger State, President Tinubu expressed that Nigerians should not be denied quality education due to financial constraints, represented by the Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Said Ahmed. The president lauded the institution's 43rd year history as a center for excellence in science, engineering, innovation, and applied research. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, has urged Nigerian youth to use the ongoing national reforms to upskill their skills. Idris has said this while delivering this year's convocation lecture titled Youth and National and Nation Building, Navigating Opportunities in the Era of National Reforms at the 34th Convocation Ceremony of the Federal University of Technology, Minna, Niger State. The minister described them as critical pathways for personal growth and nation building. Former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking to overturn an interim order forfeiting some of his property to the federal government, insisting that the assets were lawfully acquired and duly declared to relevant authorities. Malami, who challenged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission forfeiture order, gave a detailed breakdown of income and financial gift. Justice Emeka Nwite had on January 6 granted an ex parte application by the EFCC ordering the interim forfeiture of 57 property allegedly linked to Malami and 2 of his sons, Abdulaziz and Abiru Rahman. The Nigerian Police Fund Pensions Limited says it has paid 97.5 million naira retirement benefit to 30,370 retirees. Acting Managing Director Abdul Karim Gezawa said that benefits amounting to 39.57 million naira have been paid to 8,847 next of kin, while 25,572 retirees are currently receiving monthly pensions valued at over 1.56 billion naira. Speaking at the 2026 pre-retirement seminar organized by Nigerian Police Fund Pensions Limited in Lagos, he reaffirmed the organization's commitment to ensuring the timely and efficient payment of pensions and other entitlements to retired police officers. In another relative development, the Lagos State government has disbursed over 1 billion naira as accrued pension right to about 543 retirees under the contributory pension scheme, reaffirming its commitment to the welfare and financial security of retired public servants. The payment was announced at the 113th Retirement Benefit Bond Certificate Presentation Ceremony held at the Adeyemi Bello Auditorium, Alausa, Ikeja. Delivering a goodwill message, the head of service, Olabode Agoro, said the regular settlement of retirement benefits was not merely a policy choice but a pledge the state had continued to honor in recognition of the service rendered by public servants. The Labour Party, under the leadership of Senator Nenadi Usman, has held a stakeholders meeting in Abuja following recent court judgments affirming the party's leadership structure. Global Television's political correspondent Ubong Usoro was there.
The meeting took place at the Abia State Government Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja. Senator Nenadi Usman acknowledged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for complying with the Federal High Court's judgment granting the party's leadership and uploading of the party's National Working Committee on INEC portal. She also referenced the Supreme Court's judgment of April 4, 2025, which nullified earlier rulings recognizing the former National Chairman Julius Abure. The National Secretary, Senator Darlington Walkacha, announced that World Congresses will commence on March 14th, while the party's National Convention is scheduled for April 25th, 2026. He also disclosed plans for nationwide membership revalidation and fresh registration. Abia State's Governor Alex Oti said the Labour Party remains strong despite recent challenges, adding that the party is committed to unity, reconciliation and rebuilding.
Included the organization of congresses from the ward to the zonal level, culminating in the National Convention.
The Labour Party has announced it will not participate in the February 21st FCT Area Council elections, while expressing optimism that the party will emerge stronger ahead of the 2027 general elections. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
The immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, says the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is open to forming strategic alliances with other political parties ahead of the 2027 general election. Ortom disclosed this in Makodi while hosting over 1,300 former appointees who served under his administration. Felicity Nderi was there and now reports.
The immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, is laying the groundwork for possible political realignment ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Even in the face of immense pressure and opposition from Abuja, you stood still.
Speaking in his Makodi residence, Ortom told former cabinet members and appointees that politics thrives on inclusiveness and shared interest, stressing that the PDP remains open to strategic partnerships aimed at confronting common political opponents.
We adopt strategic partnership, and for us here, I've discussed with others here, and we agreed that if it is by age, if it is by strength, if it is by position, George Akume is a leader of Benue politics.
Reflecting on the 2023 governorship election, Ortom admitted that he erred by imposing the former Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly, Titus Ubah, as the PDP candidate, acknowledging that the decision contributed largely to the party's poor performance.
The mistake I did was to impose a gubernatorial candidate on all of you who were in PDP. I made a mistake I did not ask for. That was my undoing. This man, who was the speaker, when they went for mock primaries, they came back with a result. And he was number 4, not even number 3.
Former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Michael Andaka's son, said political forces in Benue State are already exploring strategic alignment to ensure the emergence of credible leadership come 2027.
And the APC and PDP that is now recognized, which Otom is a board member, have entered into strategy management partnership with Senator George Akume-led APC in North Central. The idea is to ensure that good leadership exists in North Central, irrespective of who emerges within the two political parties.
Samuel Otom also cautioned traditional rulers against engaging in partisan politics, warning that such actions are illegal and could be challenged in court. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global Television News.
Unless the National Assembly concludes its work on the amendment of the Electoral Act within 3 weeks and gets President Bola Tinubu to assent immediately, the 2027 election may be postponed or conducted with the 2020 electoral law. Fresh anxiety over the fate of the 2027 general elections heightened over the weekend following Thursday's decision of the House of Representatives to step down consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. This was amid concern by opposition parties and civil society organizations that delays by the National Assembly could disrupt the country's fighting regulated electoral timetable. The African Democratic Congress ADC has inaugurated a 50-member Wise Men and Women Policy and Manifesto Committee in Abuja. The committee is charged with the responsibility of developing people-oriented policies aimed at addressing critical national challenges, including poverty, hunger, and economic hardship. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
The committee was constituted following the approval of the National Working Committee, NWC, and the endorsements of the national chairman of the party, Senator David Mark, in furtherance of ADC's commitment to building a credible, people-centered, and forward-looking policy framework for national governance. Speaking at the inauguration, Senator David Mark charged members of the committee to come up with practical and implementable ideas capable of moving Nigeria forward.
What Nigerians therefore desperately looking for are credible alternative ideas, actions, and policies. They want policies that would improve their lives today and lay a solid foundation on which they can improve their future.
The Policy and Manifesto Committee is made up of Nigerians drawn from diverse sectors, including former public office holders, academics, technocrats, policy experts, civil society leaders, and other professionals. The committee is chaired by Chief John Odege Oyegu, with Professor Pat Utomi serving as deputy chairman, while Salisu Lukman is secretary. In his remarks, the chairman of the committee, Chief John Oyegu, assured party members and Nigerians that the committee would deliver a policy document that reflects the aspiration of the people and responds to the realities of the Nigerian state.
Remember, the emperors that govern us usually come out with their own programs immediately. Even their programs they don't faithfully execute, because the reality today is that we are in a contractor-governed nation.
With the inauguration of the Policy and Manifesto Committee, the African Democratic Congress says it is positioning itself as a party driven by ideas, competence, and solutions. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Normal activities resumed at the Onitsha main market as traders and shop owners opened their shops for business. Last Monday, the Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, ordered the closure of the Onitsha main market for 1 week following traders' failure to comply with the state government's directive to disregard the Monday sit-at-home order. The governor issued the directive during an on-site visit to the market, accompanied by some of his aides and other government officials. Soludo warned that the closure could extend if traders failed to comply, adding that security agencies had sealed the market to enforce the order. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted a mix of sunshine and cloudiness across the country from today to Thursday. NIMET Weather Outlook released on Monday in Abuja forecast a sunny atmosphere over the northern region throughout the day and Tuesday. According to the outlook, the central region is expected to experience few patches of clouds with a hazy atmosphere, while isolated thunderstorms are possible over parts of southern Kwara later in the day. You're watching the live broadcast of Midday News. Midday News continues after these weather forecasts plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Let's take a quick look at what the weather has in store as we head into Tuesday. If you are in the north-central region, keep an eye on the skies. We are seeing a good influx of moisture, so expect a partly cloudy conditions through the day. And by afternoon, yes, those clouds will start to build up. Some areas of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Nasarawa, and Benue State may hear a few rumbles of thunder, mostly without rain. Kogi and Kwara State, only a slim chance of thunderstorms, but still worth watching out for. Now, heading down south, there's where things get more active as residents of Oyo, Ogun, Oshun, Imo, Ondo, and most cities over the coastal areas should prepare for thunderstorms, especially later in the day. Well, up north, it's simple and dry, plenty of sunshine and rising temperatures. So stay cool and stay hydrated. And that's your weather update. Wherever you are, stay weather ready. I am Akami Samarda, and thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that short break. And in business news, stakeholders at the Nigerian International Energy Summit have called for stronger regulatory diplomacy and harmonized policy architecture to unlock Africa's vast energy potential. The call was made during a high-level session themed One African, One Regulatory Voice, align policy for continental prosperity and investment. Kikelemo Okere has the details.
The session focused on how fragmented regulations across African countries continue to slow energy growth, raise investment risk, and delay critical infrastructure. Speakers emphasized the need for unified regulatory framework anchored on African Union energy policies and strengthened by national reform, such as Nigerian Petroleum Industry Act, PIA.
We want to see a regulator that really and truly is the custodian or is managing the entire oil and gas reserves and trying to optimize what we can gain or the value that can be derived from this.
And that's part of what came into effect and changed the fortunes of our business, is enacting and following through laws that will energize the sector. For us,
participants noted that aligning licensing regimes, technical standards, and physical terms would help integrate regional power and energy markets, reduce uncertainty for investors, and improve cross-border project delivery. Nigeria's ongoing regulatory reform were cited as a practical model for transparency, predictability, and investors' confidence.
Since coming into upstream that I've been able to understand working with the regulator here is, again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is the clarity that the PIA has introduced. In terms of this.
PIA is a work in progress, and a lot is going on, and a lot is going to be seen in the near future. Key again is the issues around investment flowing into the country. We've had over a decade of no investment coming, but since the PIA came, we've had.
Drawing from regional collaboration and reform, the panel highlighted regulatory diplomacy as a strategic tool for Africa to speak with one voice in global energy markets. Stakeholders agree that a continent-wide approach would position Africa as a competitive energy destination capable of attracting long-term capital and driving sustainable growth.
Also look at the increase in the assets and the increase in upstream activities. When this administration started, we had a rig count of only 14 in country. But as we speak today, we have over 60 rigs in country carrying out different levels of activity.
With Africa energy future hanging on the balance, stakeholders insist the time for isolated policies is over. They say only a united regulatory front built on trust, alignment and shared ambition can unlock investment, fast-track infrastructure and give Africa a strong, confident voice in the global energy markets. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
The federal government has moved to end the practice of carrying electricity subsidy costs alone, announcing a framework that will spread the burden across federal, state and local governments from 2026. The Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Tanimu Yakubu, disclosed this in Abuja during a training and sensitization workshop for ministries, departments and agencies on the 2026 post-budget preparation process using the Government Integrated Financial Management Information System Budget Preparation Subsystem. He said President Bola Tinubu has directed that electricity subsidy costs be made explicit, tracked and fairly shared across tiers of government, warning that the current approach creates hidden liabilities and recurring crises in the power markets. A new survey by the Central Bank of Nigeria has shown that Nigeria's fintech industry is evenly divided over the country's regulatory climate, with half of operators describing it as supportive of innovation and the other half viewing it as a constraint. The finding is contained in the CBN FinTech Report 2025 released, drawing from a nationwide ecosystem survey, a closed-door stakeholder workshop held in June 2025, and the October 2025 CBN FinTech Roundtable. According to the Apex Bank, the split reflects persistent concern around licensing delays, unclear guidance, and uneven enforcement across regulatory agencies, despite increased engagement between regulators and fintech operators. The National Commissioner of the Niger Delta Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, has stated that data protection-related activities have generated over 16.2 billion naira for the Nigerian economy, creating employment opportunities for Nigerians in the digital ecosystem. He was speaking at the media training workshop in Lagos on the backdrop of the National Privacy Week 2026 Privacy in the Era of Emerging Technologies, Trust, Ethics and Innovations. Dr. Olatunji stated that this significant revenue is supplemented by additional income from licensing and penalties, describing privacy as a strategic confidence-building tool that will drive Nigeria's digital transformation and attractive investment. He declared that data privacy, a fundamental human right and critical pillar for trust, equity and freedom in Nigeria's fast-growing digital economy, noting that the rapid adoption of telecommunications, artificial intelligence, robotic and digital platforms make privacy protection no longer optional, but essential for national development. And on the foreign scene, the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, says it is scaling up to deliver life-saving food assistance to reach 450,000 people affected by the country's worst flooding in decades, months after Mozambique recovered from the worst drought in its recent history. Development experts say the situation has compounded an already fragile humanitarian situation. Zahra Nasser reports.
Severe flooding in central and southern Mozambique has impacted nearly 700,000 people forcing over 100,000 into temporary accommodation centers, submerging farmland areas, and cutting off hundreds of thousands of families from food and critical services. Around 1,500 kilometers of roads are now impassable, disrupting key supply routes and isolating vulnerable groups. World Food Programme is using specialized amphibious vehicles, boats, heavy-duty trucks, fixed-wing aircraft, and helicopters to reach the infected communities with food and nutrition assistance.
WFP has been here also from day one supporting the government's efforts, and the food is reaching people in very difficult to reach areas. We're using all means possible to do so, including amphibious vehicles.
The flooding crisis comes as Mozambique continues to grapple with a protracted conflict in the north, where 9 years of armed insurgency have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. Zahra Unasr, reporting for Global TV.
Russian forces have attacked energy infrastructure in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and its second-largest city, Kharkiv, as its supposed week-long truce amid winter conditions ended. Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs accused Moscow of having waited for temperatures to drop before renewing its targeting of energy infrastructure amid brutal sub-zero conditions. United States President Donald Trump said that Russia had agreed to pause attacks on Ukraine's city amid the freezing weather. Moscow has concentrated fire on the Ukraine's energy infrastructure every winter since its full-scale invasion in February 2022. United States President Donald Trump has said his administration will seek $1 billion in damages from Harvard University. United States President announced his plan to extract the money from the Levy League School on social media leads. The note, which did not explain the exact nature of his complaint, extends an already protracted legal battle with the university. In new sport, Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman has expressed his excitement after completing his move to Atletico Madrid, declaring his readiness to embrace the challenge at the Spanish club. The 28-year-old touched down in the Spanish capital, ending a long and dramatic transfer saga that kept fans guessing for months. Atletico Madrid confirmed the signing after accepting a deal worth €40 million, made up of a €35 million fixed fee and €5 million in addition owns. South Africa's Minister of Sports has dismissed reports suggesting that the country has been confirmed as the new host of the 2026 Women African Cup of Nations. According to a statement, the minister stated that no formal decision has been taken to replace Morocco. He affirmed that Morocco remains the official host of the tournament, which is a tool to kick off on March 17th. And that's it on Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV Channel 365 and Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using that Global TV NG. I am Satya Yakubu saying thank you for watching.